Hello, beautiful people. Hello. I am Isabel Bedell, and I am here for another episode for Read With Me. I am so excited for you to be here. I'm so excited to dive into Chapter 8. Chapter 8 of the Cashflow Quadrant. I don't know about you guys, but this book is awesome. If you have read it, put it in the comments. I have read this book and it has changed my life. If it has. And if you don't like it, let us know too. I mean, we all have opinions, right? It all comes down to the numbers for the facts. So I'm so excited to actually dive into chapter 8 of this book because the last chapter that we went over, chapter 7, it was really deep, like so emotional, but logical, and how to actually turn that emotion, how to shift that perspective and turn it into a logical upward movement towards your financial strategy. So sometimes we just get so caught up in the emotions of it all. You know, we're human beings, you and I. And regardless of where we are in the metaverse, in digital worlds or whatever, emotions motivate us in different ways. It could be for the good, it could be for the bad. But a lot of times, if you don't know what to actually look at, which is the facts, okay, if you don't look at facts, if you don't have any facts to guide you and to make a decision, you end up not being in the right game. You end up being the loser in the game. So this book is really diving into all that and allowing you to see yourself in the game, winning it. So I'm so excited for you, for what's to come into your life. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's in the description below. But the Billionaire Inner Circle is a movement, okay? Our mission is to impact the lives of 4 billion souls through the development of their mind, body, and soul to unlock personal and financial freedom. Obviously, we can't do this alone. I can't do this alone. And that's why we've built an amazing community of coaches and business owners all over the world that are committed to their growth, committed to advancing their financial and personal development, you know, and reading is one of the tools that we're using. We read 22 books in 1 year, this year, 22 books, one on personal freedom, one on financial freedom, 1 book or 2 books a month, right? So it's just like, I'm so excited for what's to come because when you have the ability, I'll put it this way, when you have the ability to actually know the facts, your world completely starts shifting, changing, because you're no longer having emotional conversations. You're no longer having basic conversations. You're having conversations where now you can discern whether someone's opinions can be a complement to your facts. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, go back to the chapter before, okay? Because that's where the answers are. Like, this is where all the secrets are in these books that are timeless. That's why we choose these type of books. This is not just your typical book club. This is more like secrets to success type of inner circle. Anyways, let's get into it, shall we? Okay, chapter 8. How do I get rich? That is what he is about to get into. If you do what everyone else does, you'll wind up having what everyone else has. When I'm asked, where did you learn your formula for getting rich? I reply, play Monopoly as a kid. Some people think I'm kidding and wait for the punchline, but it is no joke. The formula for getting rich in Monopoly is simple, and it works in real life as well as in the game. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. You may recall that the secret to wealth when playing Monopoly is simply to buy 4 greenhouses and then trade up for a large red hotel. That is all it takes. Kim and I took the same investment formula, applied it to our real life, and grew wealthy and financially free. When the real estate market was really bad, we bought as many small houses as we could with the limited money that we had. When the market improved, we traded in the 4 greenhouses and bought a large red hotel. We never have to work again because the cash flow from our large red hotel, apartment houses, and mini storage units pays for our lifestyle. Go ahead. It works for hamburgers also. Or if you don't like real estate, all you have to do is make hamburgers. Build a business around that hamburger, franchise it. Within a few years, the increasing cash flow will provide you with more money than you can spend. In reality, that is how simple the path to extraordinary wealth is. In other words, in the high-tech world, the principle of great wealth remains simple and low-tech. I would say that it's merely common sense. But too often, when it comes to the subject of money, common sense is uncommon. For example, it makes no sense to me to give people a tax break to lose money and spend all their life in debt, or to call your home an asset when it really is a liability that drains cash from you every single day, or to have a national government that spends more money than it can collect in taxes, or to send a child to school to study so they can get a job, but not to teach that child about money. It is easy to do what rich people do. Doing what rich people do is easy. One of the reasons there are so many wealthy people who didn't do well in school is because the to-do part of becoming wealthy is simple. You don't have to go to school to become rich. The to-do part of becoming rich is definitely not rocket science. There's a classic book I recommend that you read. It's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read this book as a youngster, and it greatly influenced my direction of life. There's a good reason why it's called Think and Grow Rich, not Work Hard and Grow Rich, or Get a Job and Grow Rich. The fact is that people who work the hardest do not wind up rich. If you want to be rich, you need to think independently rather than go along with the crowd. In my opinion, one of the greatest assets of the rich is that they think differently than everyone else. If you do what everyone else does, you'll wind up having everything that everyone else has. And for most people, what they have is years of hard work, unfair taxes, and a lifetime of debt. When someone asks me, what do I have to do to move from the left side to the cash flow quadrant, the right side? My response is, it's not what you have to do that needs to change. It's first how you think that needs to change. In other words, it's who you have to be in order to do what needs to be done. Do you want to be the kind of person who thinks buying 4 greenhouses and turning them into 1 red hotel is easy? Or do you want to be that kind of person who thinks buying 4 greenhouses and turning them into 1 red hotel is hard? Years ago, I took a class on goal setting. It was the mid-1970s, and I really could not believe I was spending $150 on a beautiful Saturday and Sunday to learn how to set goals. I would rather have gone surfing. Instead, I was paying someone to teach me how to set goals. I nearly backed out several times, but what I did learn from that class has actually helped me achieve what I want in life. The instructor put up on the board these 3 words: be, do, and have. She explained, goals are the have part of the 3 words. goals such as to have a nice body or to have a perfect relationship or to have millions of dollars. Once most people figure out their goal and what they want to have, they begin listing out what they have to do in order to achieve the goal. That's why most people have to-do lists. They set their goal and they begin doing. Using the goal of a perfect body the instructor talked about was the approach most people take. What most people do when they want the perfect body is go on a diet and then go to the gym. This lasts for a few weeks and then most are back to their old diet of French fries and pizza. Instead of going to the gym, they watch baseball on TV. This is an example of doing instead of being. It's not that diet that counts. It's who you have to be to follow the diet that counts. It's who you have to be. Yet every year, millions of people seek the perfect diet in order to become thin. They focus on what they have to do rather than who they have to be. A diet won't help you if your thoughts do not change. She used golf as another example. Many people buy a new set of golf clubs hoping they can improve their game instead of first adopting the attitude, mindset, and beliefs of a good golfer. A lousy golfer with a new set of golf clubs is still a lousy golfer. Then she discussed investments. Many people think that buying stocks or mutual funds will make them rich, but simply buying stocks, mutual funds, real estate, and bonds won't make you rich. It's just doing what professional investors do does not guarantee financial success. A person who has a loser mentality will always lose no matter what stock, bond, real estate, or mutual fund they buy. Wow, that's so strong. There's so many people out there like that. I wish them nothing but the best, but girl, get your head out the gutter. A common goal people have to find the perfect romantic partner, but according to the instructor, most people go about it all wrong. So many people look everywhere for the perfect person, the person of their dreams. They look for the right person instead of working to become the right person. And when they finally find this perfect person, then they try to change them. The instructor suggested that the answer lies within. To improve your marriage, you don't need to change your partner. It is better to change yourself first. Don't work on the other person. Work on your thoughts about the other person. As she talked about relationships, my mind drifted to the many people I've met over the years who were out to change the world, but weren't getting anywhere. They wanted to change everyone else, but not change themselves. I snapped out of my daydream when she started talking about money. When it comes to money, many people try to do what the rich do and to have what the rich have. So they buy a house that looks rich, a car that looks rich, and send their kids to the schools where the rich send their kids. All this is force. All this does is force these people to work even harder, which is not what the truly rich do. I was nodding my head in agreement in the back of the room. My rich dad did not use those same words, but he often said people think that working hard for money and then buying things that make them look rich will make them rich. In most cases, it doesn't. It only makes them more tired. They call it keeping up with the Joneses. And if you notice, the Joneses are really exhausted. During that weekend class, much of what my rich dad told me began to make more sense. For years, he lived modestly, and instead of working hard to pay bills, he worked hard to acquire assets. If you saw him on the street, he looked like everyone else. He drove a pickup truck, not an expensive car. Then one day, when he was in his late 30s, he emerged as a financial powerhouse. People took notice when he suddenly bought one of the prime pieces of real estate in Hawaii. It was only after his name hit the paper that people realized that his quiet, unpretentious man owned many other businesses and lots of prime real estate. And that when he spoke, his bankers listened. Few people ever saw the modest house he lived in. After he he was flush with cash and cash flow from his assets. He bought a new large house for his family. He didn't take out a loan, he paid cash. After that weekend class of goal setting, I realized that many people tried doing what they thought the rich did and tried having what the rich had. They would buy big houses and invest in the stock market because that's what they thought the rich did. Yet, what my rich dad was trying to tell me was that if they still had the thoughts, beliefs, and ideas of a poor or middle class person and did what the rich did, they would still wind up having what the poor and middle class have. Be, do, and have began to make sense. The cash flow quadrant is about being, not doing. Moving from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side is not so much about doing, but about being. It is not so much what the B or I does that makes the difference. It is how they think and who they are at the core of their being. The good news is that it does not cost much money to change your thinking. In fact, it can actually be done for free. The bad news is that sometimes it's hard to change your deep core beliefs about money that are handed down from generation to generation or learned from friends, work, or school. But it can be done. And that's why this book is actually made. And it's primarily about this, okay? It's not so much how to book on what to do to become, it's not so much a book, a how-to book on what to do to become financially free. It's not about that. It's about which, it's not also, okay, this whole thing is kind of weird. Okay, let me stop. Okay, but it can be done. And that's what this book is primarily about. It's not so much a how-to book on what to do to become financially free. It's not which stocks to buy or which mutual funds is safest. This book is about strengthening your thoughts, aka your being, so that you can make and take the action doing that will enable you to become financially free. Having. Okay, cool. I was like reading all up in the being, doing, having, and not the specific words that he's saying. Security is the issue for ease. Generally, people who seek out the E quadrant greatly value security for them. It is often true that money is not as important as security. They may take risks in other areas of their lives though, but not when it comes to money. Perfectionism is the issue for S's. This is a generalization, but what I have observed among people who are currently in the S quadrant but are trying to switch over to the right side is the do-it-yourself mentality. They like to do it themselves because they have a great need to make sure things are done correctly. In their minds, the only way to ensure that things are done right is to do everything themselves. For many S's, the real issue is their need to be in control. They hate making mistakes, but what they hate even more is someone else making mistakes and making them look bad. This makes them excellent X's, and why you should hire them to do certain tasks. You want your dentist to be a perfectionist. You want your attorney to be a perfectionist. You want your brain surgeon to be a perfectionist. That is why you pay them. That is their strength, but it's also their weakness. Emotional intelligence. A big part of being a human being is being human. And being human means having emotions. We all have fear, sadness, anger, love, hate, disappointment, joy, happiness, and other emotions. What makes us individuals is how we handle those emotions. When it comes to risking money, we all experience fear, even the rich. The difference is how we handle the fear. For many people, the emotion of fear generates the thought, play it safe, don't take risks. For others, especially those on the right side, the fear of losing money makes them think, play it smart, learn to manage risk. Same emotion, different thought, different being, different doing, different habit. Strong. The fear of losing money. In my opinion, the greatest cause of human financial struggle is the fear of losing money. Because of this fear, people often operate too safely, or with too much personal control, or they just give their money to someone else and they think that this is an expert. So they hope and pray that their money will be there when they need it. If fear keeps you a prisoner in one of the financial quadrants, I recommend reading Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. In his book, Goleman explains the age-old puzzle of why people who do well in school do not always do well in the real world. His answer is that your emotional IQ is more powerful than your academic IQ. That is why people who take risks, make mistakes, and recover often do better than people who learn to make mistakes and are afraid to take risks. Too many people leave school with passing grades, yet are not emotionally prepared to take risks, especially financial ones. The reason so many teachers are not rich is because they operate in an environment that punishes people who make mistakes. Instead, to be financially free, we need to learn how to make mistakes and manage that risk. If people spend their life terrified of losing money, afraid of doing things differently from the crowd, then getting rich is almost impossible. Even if it's as simple as buying 4 greenhouses and trading them for one large red hotel. Emotional IQ is stronger. After reading Goleman's book, I came to realize that financial IQ is 90% emotional IQ and only 10% technical information about finance or money. Goleman quotes 16th century humanist Ernest Rotterdam, who wrote in a satirical vein of the perennial tension between reason and emotion. In his writing, he uses the ratio of a 24-to-1 in comparing the power of emotional brain to the rational brain. In other words, when emotions are high gear, they are 24 times stronger than the rational mind. Now, I don't know if the ratio is scientifically valid, but it does have some usefulness to show the power of emotional thinking over rational thinking. Wow, that's strong. Didn't know that. 24-to-1. The emotional brain versus the rational brain. All of us have experienced events in our lives when our emotions overtook our rational thoughts. I'm certain most of us have either said something out of anger that we wished we had not said, been attracted to someone we knew was not good for us, but still went out with them, or worse, married them, or have cried or seen someone cry uncontrollably because of the loss of a loved one, done something intentional to hurt someone we loved because we were hurt, or had our heart broken and not gotten over it for a long time. There are times when emotions are more than 24-to-1. This can be seen in addictions such as compulsive eating, smoking, sex, shopping, drugs. Phobias such as fears of snakes, heights, tight spaces, the dark, strangers. These and other behaviors are often 100% emotionally driven. Rational thought has little power over emotions when something as strong as addictions and phobias are involved. Snake phobia. When I was in flight school, I had a friend with a snake phobia. During a class on how to survive in the wild after being shot down, the teacher brought out a harmless garden snake to show us how to eat it. My friend, a grown man, jumped up, screamed, and ran out of the room. He couldn't control himself. Not only was his phobia of snakes so strong, but the idea of eating a snake was just too much for his emotions to bear. money phobia. When it comes to risking money, I've seen people do the same thing. Instead of finding out about the investment, they also jump, scream, and run out of the room. Money manages to provoke many deep emotional phobias. I have them, you have them, we all have them. Why? Well, because, like it or not, money is an emotional subject. And because it is an emotional subject, most people cannot think logically about money. If you don't think money is emotional, just watch the stock market. In most markets, there is no logic, only the emotions of greed and fear. Watch a person climb into a new car and smell the leather interior. All the salesperson has to do is whisper the magic words in their ear: low down payment, easy monthly payments. And all the logic goes out the window. That's funny. Emotional thoughts sound logical. The problem with the core emotional thoughts is that they sound logical. When someone in the E quadrant becomes fearful, their logical thought is play it safe, don't take risks. To someone in the I quadrant, however, that is not logical at all. For people in the S quadrant, when the issue of trusting others to do a good job comes up, their logical mind or their thought may go like this: I'll just do it myself. That's the S quadrant right there. That is why so many S-type businesses are often family businesses. There is a greater sense of trust. For them, blood is definitely thicker than water. Different quadrants, different logic, different thoughts, different actions, different halves, same emotions. What determines what we do is how we individually respond to emotions. I don't feel like it. One way to know if you're thinking emotionally instead of rationally is when you use the word feel in conversation. For example, many people who are run by their emotions say things like, I don't feel like I'm exercising today. Logically, they know they should be exercising. Many people who struggle financially are not able to control how they feel, or they let their feelings dictate their thoughts. I hear them often say, I don't feel like learning about investing is too much trouble. Investing doesn't feel right to me. I don't feel like telling my friends about my business. I hate the feeling of being rejected. A parent or child scenario. Those are thoughts generated from emotions, not logic. In pop psychology, it's the battle between the parent and child. The parent usually speaks in shoulds. And the parent should say something. The parent says something like, you should be doing your homework. The child speaks about feeling in response to the parent saying, but I don't feel like it. Financially, the parent in you would say silently, you should save more money. But the child in you would reply, but I really feel like taking a vacation. I'll just put the vacation on my credit card. When are you an adult? When going from the left side to the right side, we need to be adults. We all need to grow up financially instead of being a parent or a child. We need to look at money, work, and investing as adults. And what being an adult means is knowing what you have to do and doing it, even though you may not feel like doing it. That is okay. He says that instead of being parent or child, okay, you have to look at yourself. Instead of being parent or child, we need to look at money, work, and investing as adults. That means that as an adult, you have to do it even though you may not feel like it. That's what an adult is. Conversations within you. For people contemplating crossing from one quadrant to another, an important part of their success is to be aware and vigilant of your internal dialogue. Always remember that what sounds logical in one quadrant does not necessarily make sense in another. Going from financial security to going from financial security to financial freedom is primarily a process of changing your thinking. It's a process of doing your best to know which thoughts are emotion-based and which are logic-based. If you can keep your emotions in check and go for what you know to be logical, you have a good chance of making that journey. Ignore outside influences. The most important conversation is the one that you are having with yourself. When Kim and I were temporarily homeless and financially unstable, our emotions were out of control. Many times we sounded logical. What sounded logical was pure emotions talking. Our emotions were saying things like, play it safe, get a secure job, and enjoy life. But logically, we both agreed that freedom made more sense to us than security. In going for financial freedom, we knew we could find a sense of security that a job could never give us. The only thing standing in our way were our emotional driven thoughts. They sounded logical, but in the long term made no sense. The good news is that once we made it across to the other side of the cash flow quadrant, the old thoughts stopped screaming and the new thoughts became reality. That's awesome. It's once you make that transition and you're receiving and you're doing and you're living in the other quadrant that, it all starts making sense. Today, I understand the emotions when a person says, I can't make risks. I have a family to think about. I must have a secure job, or it takes money to make money. That's why I can't invest, or I'll do it on my own. I feel their thoughts, for I have had those thoughts myself. But looking across the cash flow quadrant, having achieved financial freedom in the B and I quadrants, I can truly say that having financial freedom is much more peaceful and a secure way of thinking. The differences between E's and B's. Core emotional values cause different points of view. The struggle in communication between business owners and employees is often caused by differences in emotional values. There has always been a struggle between the E and the B because one wants to pay and the other wants to work. That is why we often hear, I am overworked and underpaid. And from the other side, we often hear, what can we do to motivate them to work harder and be more loyal without paying them anymore? Differences, the B and the I. There's also constant tension between business owners and the investors in the business, often called shareholders. One wants more capital and the other one wants greater dividends. A conversation at a shareholders meeting may sound like this. Company managers say, we need a private jet so our executives can get to their meetings faster. And then the investors are like, we need fewer executives, then we won't need a private jet. Differences between the S and the B's. In business transactions, I often see a bright S, such as an attorney put $1 million deal together for a B, a business owner. When that transaction is completed, the attorney becomes silently angry because the B makes millions and the S earns an hourly wage. Their words may sound like this. The attorney says, we did all the work and he made all the money. The business owner says, how many hours did those guys bill us for? We could have bought the whole law firm for what they charged. Here's the differences between the E and the I. Another great example is a bank manager who gives an investor a loan to buy some real estate. The investor makes hundreds of thousands of tax-free dollars, and the banker gets a paycheck that is taxed heavily. The bank manager, the E, might say, I give that guy a loan, and he doesn't even say thank you. I don't think he knows how hard we worked for him. The investor says, or the I, boy, those guys are picky. Look at all this useless paperwork we have to do to get this lousy loan. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because we're gonna continue where he goes into further different comparisons. The next one is actually emotionally volatile marriages. So if you're currently with a significant other, stay tuned for the next video because we're about to get into that even more. Let me know in the comments, what did you get out of this chapter? There was a lot of really, really great stuff. I really enjoyed the part where he was like, there are 24 times emotions are in high gear and they are 24 times stronger than a rational mind. That's so strong. Like, if you think about it, if your emotions are so highly charged, how powerful would you be if your highly charged emotions were towards a specific goal, or learning a specific skill, or implementing something new? How will your emotionally charged decisions help you get there faster? I mean, awesome. I love this so much. And don't forget that this book is about strengthening your thoughts, aka your being, so that you can take that action, the doing, that will enable you to become financially free, the having. And with that, I'll leave you with some exciting news. Make sure to check out the Billionaire Inner Circle in the description below. We're going to be diving into some really amazing things this week. So make sure to get involved, get connected. We have a free membership, but we also have a paid membership. And those that do decide to get into their paid membership, you actually get 22% back of that membership, and it gets deposited into a financial freedom account where now you can invest in crypto. So if you're looking to make that change, if you're looking to make that advancement forward and really capitalize on learning new skill sets, learning how to become financially free, I highly encourage you to make the decision to invest into yourself, get into the Billionaire Inner Circle, get connected with like-minded, powerful people from all over the world, and set yourself up for success. You deserve it. You deserve it. So have a beautiful day. I love you. Make sure to get that link from the description below. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share this with a friend, family member, or someone that you know that will take this and run with it, and continue being great. You deserve it.